What's up, everybody? This is Alone Together Streaming. I am your host, Patrick Jordan. We are here on episode 76, rocking week 23 in consecutive order of Alone Together Pittsburgh. We've been streaming at you since the shelter-in-place order came down. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We have got a really great show for you tonight. I know I say that all the time, but tonight, I mean it. I always mean it, but I really mean it tonight. On many different levels. We've got a fantastic lineup for you tonight. And there's a lot been going on right now. There's some good news in Allegheny County. I'm cautiously optimistic. The numbers have gone down a significant amount. I think it's in the high 20s. I think there were 27 new cases today, down from 77 or so the day before. We've been under 100 for I think 3 days now. This is good. Keep it going. Just keep rolling with it. The one thing that concerns me is the somewhat irony that we finally get this thing under control and we have move-in day at the universities. But yesterday I did drive through Oakland and I saw every single person was wearing a mask that I saw on the street, which was made me feel a little bit warm because I was heartbroken that the South Side, there wasn't a mask to be seen. There was just like hordes of people in their early 20s just kind of on top of each other going place to place. But that said, things are rolling well. We've got a fantastic show for you tonight. Chef Romane is going to be back with WHT K8, photojournalist extraordinaire, and just an amazing interview. Maranie Rae is going to be here. And then from Espresso and Mano, Matt is going to be here. That's right, Matt Gebis himself. I'm very excited that he's going to be here. And we're going to be talking a lot of stuff. But before we get to these fantastic interviews, we have a little bit of housekeeping here. A couple of points. One, you'll notice something scrolling along the screen here below me. That would be the Venmo for Alone Together Pittsburgh. Our Venmo is @TogetherPGH. So if you have the means and feel like donating a couple of bucks to the show, we would greatly appreciate it. All the money that is raised goes directly to the artists involved in the show every night. You can't go too small. You definitely can't go too big. $1, $3. Anything. We know there's donor fatigue. We're on PayPal as well. You can find a link to that on our website, Together PGH. So thank you in advance for that. So we also have a little thing that we do on a nightly basis. We have a twofold. There's an in-show and an overnight Engine House 25 Winery Jag-Off poll. It is the Jag-Off, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we use this as a term of endearment, not a term of disrespect. We are not looking for the biggest Jag-Off when it comes to these things. It is an iconic Pittsburgh slang, and we put this together relatively quickly. Once March Madness got canceled, we came up with this that night. So I'm going to give this over to the commandant, the governor, whatever his title is, to let us know what it was from last night and what it is tomorrow. Governor, or should I talk about Engine House 25 Winery first?
You're talking to me. You're calling me the governor. I believe it's common.
What was last night's What was last night?
Oh my God! Do not look at that.
While you're working,
the commandant a little slack over here. Okay. Here's what we had going on. We had the bridge battle, ladies and gentlemen. Inbound FORT PITT inbound versus the FORT DUQUESNE inbound. And what were the results on this sucker? What do you think? Of course, there were 50 million people voting. No, there were 7,848 votes. That's just too damn much. That's too many votes in one day. Doesn't make any sense to me. But FORT DUQUESNE inbound, 51%. FORT PITT inbound, lost. So damn it, that's it for you. That's what you get. It doesn't make any sense to me. 5,000 people. What, do you got nothing to do better with your lives now? Well, welcome to the Jag-Off. Jag-Off's FORT DUQUESNE inbound, 51% beats FORT PITT inbound. That's it. Smoke it.
I'm shocked. Honestly, I would have gone FORT PITT inbound all day. I mean, it's insanity if you go in there. So those traffic patterns are nuts on those bridges, and Pittsburgh came out to vote. I guess, I mean, we've been doing this poll for a while. It's starting to catch a little bit of fire. We've got a lot of votes come in on these things. So vote early and vote often, I guess. But That's wild. Okay, so the Jagoff poll, which you just saw, Fort Duquesne lives on. We'll see the Fort Duquesne entrance intersection merge point inbound coming up tomorrow. It's going to be facing off tonight's in-show winner. But before I bring out tonight's little Jagoff winner, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our sponsor for the Jagoff poll, Engine House 25 Winery. If you go to eh25.com, you can find out all the information you want. They have a killer selection of reds, of everything you could possibly want. Their blends are off the hook. They also have a Chardonnay and a Rosé. If you can get to it while they have it, they sell out right away. All this stuff is bottled, hand-selected here in Pittsburgh. The grapes come from Napa, Chile, and everywhere in between. And if you say that you found out about Engine House 25 Winery through Alone Together Pittsburgh, they will give you $5 off per bottle. That is a huge percentage. And if you buy a case, you're saving like $50. They're also doing curbside. You can buy in advance. Go to eh25.com. They will take care of you. You buy it, you pay for it, you pull up, you text them. They bring the case out or the bottle out, whatever you want. They bring it to your car. Boom, mask and gloves. You're on your way. Also, they're doing free delivery during the pandemic because they're that cool. All right. So in the Pittsburgh area, not like, don't be in Cleveland and ask for like, a bottle of rosé. It's just not going to happen for free. But I want to thank our sponsors. They're right there in the Strip District where the Strip District meets Lawrence.
What's going on, Patrick?
I got a little thrown off, Pete, because I didn't do the sponsorship before the Jagoff poll, and then the Commandant wasn't ready. I threw off the entire show. The vibe, the rhythm, it's off. The rhythm's a dancer, okay? And it's your soul companion, and you can feel it in the air. It just didn't work tonight. Sometimes it happens.
Get your words together.
I'm going to think about my words, and I've got a couple choice ones for you, sir.
I still can't believe that Fort Duquesne beat Fort Pitt.
I'm shocked.
It's that view, like you come in through the tunnels. It's like the thing they show like on every like Pittsburgh episode of anything where they're like Pittsburgh and they're coming through the tunnels and then boom, the city explodes in front of you. But Fort Duquesne is a shit show of traffic at all times.
It is crazy. It is wild. One wrong turn and you're in Cleveland, says Andy Rogers, who must have watched the show yesterday. Awesome. So I apologize to everyone for me getting a little flustered there with my words. But there is some good news. We're going to bring back the Commandant to talk about tonight's in-show Lil Jagoff poll.
Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, stare into my sphere. Look deep upon my avatar. I have come from the place on high where the magistrates of the Jagoff decide every Jagoff in meticulous detail. They don't wait to the last minute to come up with a Jagoff. They don't poll their guests for Jagoff ideas. They don't wait to the very damn last minute till it's worn out and tired. No, they get ahead. They skate where the puck is. They cover their asses while they scan ahead for the graphics. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This one is for the old heads. We have in tonight's Jagoff a commercial that nobody remembers. Pittsburgh Diesel Institute versus the Eaton Park Christmas tree. That's right, the Christmas tree from Eaton Park. The only time you cry, unless they run out of salad bar, is when you see the Christmas tree. And as far as the Diesel Institute, nobody knows what the hell this is. Patrick, this one's on you, buddy. Better make it stick.
Okay, I'm going to make it stick, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Before I move on, Dave, I know we fumbled a little bit early on, but you just made up for it. That was your best intro. Skate where the puck is. You were on fire tonight, my friend. I just want you to know that. I'm going to give props where props are due. But the Pittsburgh Diesel Institute, if you don't know, okay, now you do. If you remember, chime in on the comments on YouTube and Facebook over here. But the Pittsburgh Diesel Institute, you guys don't remember that commercial, Pete, Dave? I mean, Dave, you're not from here, so it was an '80s thing. It might have been like that. Pete, you don't know?
I don't remember that one.
So remember, so the guy it was like totally like off of a VHS camcorder, and a guy would go and be like, "Hey, I need some help! My car's broke down," and a guy would slide out from underneath a big rig truck, and he'd look at the guy who's looking for help, and he'd go, Johnny, save a buck. Is that you? You ain't driving that old clunker from high school, are you? And the guy goes, yeah, I was thinking about getting another car, but, what are you doing down there? He says, oh, no, I'm working on a big rigs. See, how'd you do that? Oh, I went to the Pittsburgh Diesel Institute. They started out on trucks and moved my way up, and now I'm working on these big rigs, and I'm doing all right. No kidding. Well, how do I find out about that? Oh, they're in the book. Give them a call. Pittsburgh Diesel Institute, blah, 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 blah. That's the commercial. And that was it. Johnny Save a Buck, Pittsburgh Diesel Institute. It was iconic. We talked about it in elementary school all the time, back before there were televisions, apparently. You never saw this commercial.
I never saw that commercial, but Patrick, I couldn't tell right there if that was the true Pittsburgher in you coming out or your magnificent acting capabilities.
I was using my acting, Pete. I was using my acting. You got a little taste. Usually I charge a lot of money for that. We're talking at least like a cup of soup. Usually you just cater it and I'll act for you. But yeah, that was it. So I just acted it out for you. But if you can find footage from the Pittsburgh Diesel Institute commercial, if anyone has it, I know somebody recorded a VHS tape. I'm sure Weird Paul would have it. So we're going to have to ask Weird Paul. So anyway, so that's the deal. So get to voting. I'm sure everyone knows what the Eaton Park Christmas tree commercial is, right? It was my favorite. It's the longest I can remember my favorite commercial. But the Pittsburgh Diesel Institute is awesome too. But let's let you decide, okay? You get to decide. So start your voting. Get in there right now. Get it rolling. In the Engine House 25 Wines Little Jagoff poll. That said, I think we should just keep things rolling and get right to our guests because we've got, like I said before, we've got some good ones. Our first guest, Maranie Rae, is an amazing photojournalist, and I believe in her. I believe in what she does, and she puts herself in some serious situations to document things, and she. Let's just hear what she has to say, and we'll talk a little bit about this interview on the other side of it. Maranie Rae, everybody. All right. Hi, I'm here with Maranie. Maranie, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Know you've got a lot going on. I mean, you're in Portland right now. But before we get into everything that's going on there, what made you go to Portland?
Well, yeah, first, thanks for having me. Definitely excited to talk to you. I was covering ongoing protests and demonstrations, both in Syracuse and in Pittsburgh. I wrapped up grad school at the end of May and was kind of in between the two cities and had been keeping an eye on what had been happening in Portland. And I think it was the ongoing assaults against the press that I just kept hearing about. I pretty personally offended by that and really just wanted to see what was happening for myself. And so I bought a one-way plane ticket out here about a month ago. I only really intended to stay a week, but it's been several. So I'm probably staying here for another week or so and gonna take it from there.
I mean, this has to be a routine that you never expected you would be falling into. It's every day, right?
Yeah, I've been on the street every single day, and it quickly has become a routine. I'm not the only. I'm far from the only. There's a contingent of independent journalists that, the nights start anywhere from mid to late evening, 9 or 10, and then they can go anywhere till 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, depending upon the night. But it has become a routine.
Now you're right there on the front lines of this. I mean, I've been seeing, been following you on social media and looking at the images that you've been posting in videos. I mean, I'd seen it on the news, but something about knowing you and then seeing what you're witnessing, it has a different kind of a punch. That it's got a little bit more reality to it for what you're doing. I mean, were you? Is this what you anticipated to see when you got there?
No, I do my best not to have certain expectations in general, but I've never seen or experienced anything like what am and have been in Portland. I've worked in. I told someone the other day I've worked in literal war zones, and I've never seen what is happening every night here in Portland. To your first point, I guess that's always my hope. There is a huge margin between what is often portrayed in the mainstream media and then what is happening on the ground, and that can be for any number of reasons. At best, there's a lack of nuance, and at worst, it's much worse than that. But when the federal officers left a few weeks ago, most of the major news networks left Portland, but the protests have been continuing to happen every night, as have the attacks on both protesters and press, and that just hasn't gotten a lot of coverage.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because I was going to bring that up, because it was everywhere for a few days, maybe a week, and then it kind of disappeared, and a lot of people thought that, oh, things got settled, the protests have died down. I know things got ramped up when things were starting to dwindle, and then these kind of new ad hoc soldier, in quotes, kind of showed up, and things kind of escalated quickly. So there's something that we talk about on the show pretty much weekly, is the fact that during these protests, that using anything like mace, pepper spray, tear gas during a pandemic is kind of like it's a biological weapon. It's basically worse than basically anything I can imagine right now. Are they still using tear gas, mace, and pepper spray type things in Portland?
Yes. As of last night, Portland police tear gassed a group of protesters and press. When I first arrived, it was towards the middle end of July, and that was in the midst of when federal officers were in town, or a heavier presence of federal officers were in town, and people being protesters and press, whoever was out was being heavily tear gassed on a pretty much nightly basis. When they left, quote unquote, when their presence was reduced, the protest moved from downtown at the federal courthouse, which is where I think a lot of the visuals that got out into the wider media sources, the protest moved to different outlying precincts. So they didn't end. The story just shifted, and the Portland police are not supposed to be using tear gas, but they are. Pepper spray is absolutely being used, and what they call less lethal munitions, which can be pepper balls or rubber bullets, or there's a whole array. I have video and photo evidence of it appears that a tactic is the removal of face masks while being pepper sprayed or tear gassed. So officers are when there's an initial rush, when the Portland police and sometimes the Oregon State Police are also present, rush protesters, they will rip the face masks off of protesters, and just keep going. It's almost like a tactic, kind of to disable them.
I mean, I think we might have a video clip of some of that here. Dave, you want to run that? Wow. And that's a nightly basis. That video was from, I think, Saturday.
Yeah. So every night is a little bit different. That was tear gas, and we were tear gas last night. Saturday was a bit more aggressive. So what you saw there was an officer removing the face mask of a protester. That protester wasn't arrested, so it was just, again, for lack of a better word, a tactic. And then when he saw me filming, he then threw me over to the ground. So that's why it got like shaky there. And just to be clear, I wear a blue press vest. I'm credentialed, and that is I think that was the third time that I've been attacked as a member of the press.
And that was,
so.
I think we have a picture of, I think what happened after you got thrown to the ground there. Dave, if you want to run that with the elbow.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't want to downplay it because it's more representative. It's just a scrape, but
Right.
It's very much just, in America, we're supposed to have free extra protections as members of the press. And not only are there not extra protections, but there are continued targeted attacks on the press where they're either pushing us over, because I say us because I'm not the only member of the press that has been attacked. It happens almost every night. Where we're just prevented from doing our job, whether it's just being pushed off to the side and like kept out of view of what's happening, physically assaulted and or arrested. So I've been just documenting things so that hopefully there is recourse eventually.
So, I mean, it's almost a tactic that the press are being targeted in a sense here. Because I mean, I know that what happened to you on one specific occasion. I think you had posted this on Facebook. Maybe you could talk us through it. But you were with a blue press vest, walking backwards, documenting everything that was happening around you, and then maybe talk us through what happened after that.
The night I was arrested?
Yes.
Yeah, so just to be clear, that night I wasn't wearing the blue vest, but I was marked as press just because if someone watches the video, they're not going to see the blue vest. I was on the sidewalk, walking backwards. So when an unlawful assembly or a riot is called, everyone has to disperse. And so in this instance, it was Thursday, August 6th. Protesters, press, legal observers, everyone was walking backwards. We were dispersing, and I was on the sidewalk. I showed up with all of my gear here initially, but it's quickly become, I carry an iPhone in my left hand for video and a DSLR in my right to be quick and light, but also so that I can take video because Portland video is very important here so that you can just constantly be documenting. So I was walking backwards doing both, and an officer pushed me and then pulled me from the sidewalk into the street and proceeded to arrest me. I was in no way interfering, and the crowd more than once told him that I was a member of the press.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, the one thing is a lot of people are documenting a lot of things. Even people who aren't professional, photojournalists are have their cell phones out. So, I mean, a couple of people were able to capture this happening to you. I think we're looking at it right here. It's muted, but yeah. So you can kind of see it happening, and in the audio version of it, people are basically shouting that you're a member of the press and getting pushed away from you. So you were pulled from the sidewalk into the street for this to happen. And this is so are the tensions this high on a nightly basis? Because I know that there were certain politicians were making it like it was, they were not calling them protesters, they were calling them rioters and trying to brand that as such. Now you're on the ground there every day for a month at this point. Does it feel like that there?
Does it feel like what?
Does it feel like, I mean, the protesters are legitimately peaceful protesters? I mean, it seems that way to me, but I mean, how do the tensions, is push coming to shove every night?
Yeah. So what I'd say is there's honestly similar to in Pittsburgh or any city, there are a lot of different groups and a lot of different factions. So in Portland, all day, every day, there are different groups protesting. So you have everything from daytime marches to yoga sessions to crafts to rallies outside of certain corporations. And then there's another group at night that tends to be they are called by some people Antifa, but what would probably be more accurate is Black Bloc, and that's more just a tactic. Black Bloc is just choosing to dress all in black for anonymity's sake. Mm-hmm. And they are the ones that come out every night. And what I will say is there are fires lit most often in dumpsters. There are things graffitied, and things like water bottles are thrown. What is being left out of the narrative is the disproportionate response by law enforcement. So those actions are taking place, and they are being met with brutal force from riot police, as are members of the press and our legal observers.
Yeah, there was a photo that you had that totally was captivating for me. A guy playing a trumpet that was shot. It looked like with a rubber bullet or some form of shrapnel in the face. Dave, do we have a picture of that? But yeah, while Dave's looking for that,
yeah.
I'm just saying, and it appeared that bleeding from the side of his face, he kept on playing,
Yeah, it's in every this. What's happening in Portland is not getting comprehensive coverage,
Mm-hmm.
and so what is missed are stories like his name is I don't want to say it wrong. It's Camillo, Camillo, and really just the spirit and the camaraderie of what is happening on the street and the community and the dedication of these people that are coming out every night. I'm not going to absolve anyone of proper, that's not my job.
Right.
But I'm trying to paint a fuller picture of what's happening on the ground. So that particular night,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't start a fire, and he didn't, I don't remember exactly what escalated things that night, but the indiscriminate firing of less lethal weapons, he almost lost an eye. And there have been people seriously hurt.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, and I think you caught a rubber bullet or a beanbag or something to the knee. Is that right? On one night?
Yeah, I was, forget what night. That was the Wednesday where President Trump announced that federal officers would begin a slow withdrawal on a Thursday towards the end of July. And so that the Wednesday, right before that, that was one of the most aggressive nights. It was dystopian. It was like a bad dystopian, like a war movie, where federal officers were out, PPB was out, I think the Oregon State Police was out, and yeah, I was nailed in my knee, and it's still swollen. Not nearly as bad as it was the first night.
I think we have a photo of that too that we'll pull up here in a minute. But yeah, so on a nightly, so basically you keep going back. I mean, there's so much happening. I admire you for doing it. Here's some photos. There's a shot of your poor knee. I mean, that's just wild. So you just caught that, you're just there doing your job.
Yeah. And there are people that, I made the mistake of starting to use Twitter while out here. And there are people that will say that, well, you shouldn't be out there, or you brought it upon yourself. Where that's not really how it works. I guess as a journalist, I am choosing to be out there, but it's also my job. And I mean, we're there to hold power to account. And whether it's me or someone else with a cell phone or whatever it is, if I or we were not out there documenting things, there would be no potential. There'd be no accountability or honestly potential for accountability, because that's really is the question mark with growing evidence of, indiscriminate arrests and use of these less lethal munitions, will there be any sort of accountability?
I mean, I mean, but this whole thing, I mean, if somebody doesn't have a cell phone camera, this entire movement might not have been sparked this time, because it might have just gotten pushed under, that George Floyd was aggressive or fighting back, when he obviously wasn't. It had to be so obvious, and so and there's some pictures that we were talking about before. I see the guy with the trumpet was up top, and so that's the guy that there's I mean, you took some, amazing pictures to keep your poise in this situation. I know you've been in war zones, but it's just got to be a whole different situation. I mean, and I know you were covering some stuff in Pittsburgh before you left for Portland, and things are.
Yeah. So what you're seeing on the Instagram page right now is a bit of Syracuse, and then further down is Pittsburgh. So since things started, and to your point with George Floyd, 100%. And even if you look at the civil rights movement, people like John Lewis talk about the importance of the press and of journalism, and what good journalism, because otherwise things are just happening in a vacuum or in the shadows. Like, the messages are not getting out into the wider public. And so I look at Portland as one example where the ground truth, so to speak, like the people on the ground, every night or almost every night, are the ones that I wish we all had a wider platform, because I'm doing my best just to put out there, this is what I see, this is what I experience. I don't want to editorialize, because honestly, I think that if you're doing your job well enough, like, the pictures and or the video kind of speak for themselves.
Well,
that's actually in Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and I guess that gives me an opportunity to just say, like, what's happening in Portland has gotten the nation's spotlight for a handful of reasons, but but what we're experiencing right now is a national, I would call it a movement, just because there's a cohesiveness in the number of cities, large and small, that are pushing back against what has been like the status quo for so long.
Yeah, I think it's amazing what you're doing, and you touched on it earlier in our conversation that journalists and journalism are under fire right now. I mean, across the board, and you're out there on the front lines of it every night. I mean, Portland is still pretty much one of the most active spots for nightly protest and everything else that's going on. So, I mean, be safe out there. Is there anything else you wanted to add in? I don't know if we covered a lot here. We went around here. We have some more footage if you wanted to roll some stuff or talk about anything else.
No, I mean, I would just encourage. I mean, I guess I always encourage this, that if you're interested in learning more about what's happening on the ground anywhere, I'd encourage you to, like, look for the independent journalists, look for and support independent journalists, whether it's in Portland or Pittsburgh or wherever you are. Because even if you are seeing something that's accurate on the mainstream news, it's probably just a blip, for a lot of reasons. That's all they have time for. But it's rarely, if ever, the full story. So here in Portland, I'm here, but I can also point anyone that might be interested in learning more about others that are working here on the ground. Twitter is a great resource, something I just started to use while out here in Portland. And I also respond to messages if anyone wants to get in touch, has questions. The reason I'm out here is to learn for myself, but also to hopefully communicate to others what is happening as fairly and as accurately as I can. So,
Maranie Rae, what you're doing is so important. So stay safe, and thank you so much for giving us your time here today. And
I really appreciate it.
And good luck tonight and every other night till you get back home.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much. Maranie Rae, everybody. Yeah, you may have noticed that the light shift and the fact that I was on the screen double there. We pre-recorded that interview because Maranie, shockingly after that interview, you can see that she had places to be. Yeah, it's amazing. And what was funny is we brought up something. She brought up something else after we had stopped taping the interview. Was that she just posed a question? She was like, with all these troops and all this, the tear gassing and then this, that, and the other thing. She wants to know how much that's actually going to cost the taxpayers when this is all said and done, and what would that be versus like graffiti on steps. There's a whole lot there. So hopefully we'll have Maranie back on the show in a little bit to check back in to see how things are going there and wherever she ends up. So I want to thank her for finding time in her schedule to bring us on there. But that said, we've got a couple more guests on the show tonight. And I think we should check in on the in-show poll because I'm sure the votes are coming in hot. Commandant Dave, how are things going for the in-show poll?
Boom! It's a tough life out there. Things battling against each other. People voting. Uncertain times. The Jag-Off is here to let you know that life is like a box of chocolate.
You're stalling really well.
Thank you. I ran out of steam there at the end.
I saw that.
Sorry,
you were doing good.
That's the best I could do. I thought I was going to get this in time.
I love your voice. I think your whatever your microphone you're using.
Once the Forrest Gump stuff comes up, that's how you know I'm out of gas.
That's when I chimed in. That's when I chimed in. So
Pete, how are we doing?
Well, that's okay. While you're talking to Pete. We can hear Pete. Okay, I heard it. I feel like I'm in NASA right there. I had that like we're doing all right kind of a thing. Tom chimed in earlier, right before Maranie's interview, and said that his friend from Robert Morris College was actually in the Pittsburgh Diesel Institute commercials. Just so you know, I wasn't making things up. So there you have it, folks. I didn't just invent that kind of thing. All right, so while we're waiting...
the report. I got the report, Patrick. And you know
what the hell am I doing? I was going to go on to the next
the
guest,
Jordan acting bump cannot be denied in this circumstance because the Technical Institute is dominating. So
is it like 1-0? What's the best?
Yeah, and you know what? That tree, I thought that tree was Teflon.
That
Teflon
tree is one of the most iconic things in Pittsburgh lore of commercials.
I shed a tear, but Patrick, you're acting, man. It's you're a ninja.
All right, so that is in the lead. So if you're at home right now and you want that Eaton Park Christmas tree, come on with a do 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 do. See, I did that because that was almost singing. Okay, so that would be the poll right there. If you got any questions for Maranie, we have her information on the in the comments section there, right there. Tom said Darren C to be specific. Well, Tom, you've got 20 minutes. Call Darren and see if we can get some. If he has a digitized version of that commercial, I will give him. I'll get Matt Gebis to get him a cup of coffee from Espresso Mano. And that would be the entrance. That would be the intro. Our next guest is the owner-operator of Espresso Mano Coffee Shop right there on Butler Street in Lawrenceville. One of the hottest spots in town for coffee. Also, usually has a revolving art gallery inside of it. So let's have him in here. Matt. Hey, Matt.
Hello. How's it going?
It's okay. Did I say your name correctly?
What did you say?
Your name.
How did you say it?
Gebis?
I missed how you said it.
Gebis?
Gebis?
Gebis, like a gee, like a
there you go.
Gee. That's what I said. I said Matt Gebis is here, everybody.
Yeah, you did.
Gebis.
No one ever gets it right. So it's all good.
Like a karate, like a gi, like you would wear to a karate class.
Yeah,
Gebis. Yeah,
like clarified butter.
That's exact. Look at you. You've talked about this before. Well, anyway, thank you for joining us tonight here.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. So Espresso Mano is awesome, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it. I know that everything, come March, everything kind of shut down under lockdown with COVID. I mean, how did that affect Espresso Mano?
Well, it affected us greatly. So we were kind of. Basically, we didn't know what the hell to do, I remember that week when stuff started to get real. I believe it was like a Thursday, probably so like March like 13th or something.
Yep.
Things started to shut down. Things started to get canceled. Everyone started talking about it. There was an uneasiness in the air. There was a feeling in the air that reminded me very much of like how things felt like right after September 11th. I don't know why that was like my best point of reference. Everything felt like really weird right after that happened. And so did this. And I was freaked. My employees were freaked. Our customers were freaked. And some of them weren't. And that probably freaked us out more, the people that weren't freaked.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we pledged through. We started making, little changes here and there, trying to be more cautious, trying to be more careful. This was back when no one knew that masks were a good idea. No one knew anything. Everyone was just saying, wash your hands.
Mm-hmm. We were doing that on the show. We had different performers singing for 20 seconds doing wash your hands things when we started the show. We stopped doing that after about 2 weeks, but that was our gimmick.
It was nuts. Yeah. Like that's all we had. So, we got rid of the for here cups. We started making little changes and we worked that Saturday, and it was like the weirdest day I've ever worked in my life, and everything felt so off. And I said, like, this doesn't feel right. Because I had been following the news. I had been following what was happening in other countries where this, affected prior to it hitting the U.S. And I'd seen other countries, Italy, namely, shut down. And I was like, this is what we're going to have to do. Everything's going to end up shut down. We're going to be shut down. And at the time I was like, all right, well, if we shut down, who the hell knows if we're going to be opening back up? Like what's going to go on? So everybody was freaked on Saturday. I was super freaked. I said, all right, guys, let's all take Sunday off. And then let's like meet up Sunday evening and talk about what we want to do. And everyone that was around, we kind of came to the consensus that like, hey, let's take a week off. Because at the time, everyone was like, oh, well, this will be a bad couple of weeks and then we'll get back to normal. And then it became, this will be a bad month or two. And then by Memorial Day, rather, everything will be back to normal. And then it was, whatever. So we closed down, and then I was like, and on top of it, like my wife is immunocompromised. So I didn't want to, that super freaked me out. I was like, I'm not bringing anything home. I don't want to bring anything home that could, endanger her, or I got a young kid, and everyone has family, everyone has loved ones, So, and then when the governor said all non-life sustaining businesses need to close, I took that very literally. And I said, well, coffee's not life sustaining, so we're going to be closed. I didn't feel like the responsible thing to do to be open. Looking back in retrospect, if we'd known then what we know now, and that there are safe ways to do this, I could have stayed open. But at the time, it didn't feel like,
Well, no, absolutely. I mean, I remember everything that was going on. I mean, I think that would have been the same for a lot of things. I mean, your analogy to how you felt comparison to 9/11, I mean, that would have been the last time that the entire country was shook together as a whole. It wasn't a hurricane. It wasn't an earthquake. It was, it was all, everyone was going through it, right? And then the shutdown happened. But 9/11, we shut down for like a few days. This one was, a lot longer. But so what steps did you take when you reopened? I know everything's, you don't have your like to stay cups, or I forget what you call the cups, but so are you just doing straight takeout now? How's that working? What was your shift?
We're takeout only. So basically, we have a satellite location. We have a second location that was only in operation for about a month before all this hit, inside of 5 Points Bakery in Squirrel Hill. And we closed down there too. They continued to operate. And so I was able to kind of like see what they were doing and kind of take the good ideas that they had from there and apply it to what we were going to do here. And so first they went to only allowing a certain number of people in the store at a time. I think it got reduced a couple of times. And then they said, okay, everyone that comes in has to have a mask on. And I said, okay, that makes sense. And then when you started seeing science behind or reports rather of what, wearing a mask can do, then I said, okay, I feel a little bit better about this slightly. If I got a mask on all the time and anybody I'm waiting on has one on, that seems pretty fair. And they would take out.
Are people coming in? Are people coming into the store?
No.
Right.
We're lucky. We have our whole front of the store opens up. We've got a big garage door.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It feels like we've had it for 11 years, just waiting for COVID. It's like, I was like, well, I've got this big garage door. We're going to utilize it. So we pushed a counter up towards the front. I set the register up there. We got some plexiglass screens where the register is. And so no one comes in, and it's all takeout. We opened back up on June 1. Sorry.
How many people are working at a specific time?
Yeah.
How many people are in the store on a regular shift?
Two plus myself. So 3 max. Yeah.
Gotcha.
We had a total of 7 employees at the beginning of this, and 2 of whom had left or were leaving for other reasons, regardless. So when I opened back up, I said, okay, well, I'm not going to replace them. We're just going to do reduced hours, make everything a little simpler, streamline everything. And it's been working out. Like, we've got the coffee bars and towards the back of the shop. So there's one person taking orders. There's one person back there making drinks. We're just kind of yelling back and forth. And when there's 3 of us, someone's running back and forth all the time. And so far it's worked. And I would say like 90%, probably more than 90% of our customers have been amazing about it. They've been really cooperative. Yeah.
So that's great. Now, being in Lawrenceville, I've driven through Lawrenceville a few times. There's a lot of not mask wearing, but it's usually in the evening hours and stuff. I'm seeing a lot of people not wearing masks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are you seeing? You're down there a lot more than I am.
So, we've reduced our hours. We're no longer open in the evenings. We're out of here by 2 every day.
Okay. Great.
But there is still a lot of not mask wearing. If people come up to us without a mask, we're like, yo, can you put a mask on? And sometimes, especially towards the beginning, that got to be, fights,
It's unnerving.
like, oh God. And people just like being belligerent, even though they had them in their damn pocket, they didn't, whatever.
A kid,
like I said, more than 90% have been cool.
A 17-year-old kid somewhere in central PA just got his jaw broken at like a Sesame Street restaurant because he asked a 40-year-old man to put a mask on.
Well,
Like, it's I don't understand it. But
well, and then there was the people that got killed. Someone got shot for not letting someone in a store in a mask. I forget where that was. That was like a month ago or so.
It was like a liquor store, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like aside, like it's gotten ridiculous because, people like us, service workers, frontline workers, have become like the gatekeepers of mask wearing, and we're the ones that are tasked with enforcing it among the general population to who come and see us. And I feel like the government has just kind of abdicated that responsibility and pushed it onto us. So like, how is it like it's a 17-year-old kid's responsibility to tell a 40-year-old man to put a mask on? Like that needs to be mandated by the government. That should not be left in the hands of a 17-year-old service worker who's making minimum wage to like enforce that and then get their jaw broken. You know what I mean? So This whole thing has just been a complete abdication of responsibility. I don't even want to get into that. But,
Tato, we'll have you back on another night. We'll go through it. But okay, so you've got a 2-year-old at home. Is that correct?
3 now? Yeah.
3. Okay, so I've got a 2-year-old at home. How are you managing this? How are you corralling a 3-year-old during a pandemic? Okay, I just want to see how somebody else is doing it because I'm losing my mind.
Oh, dude. It's taken every ounce of every little bit of energy reserves that I've ever had in my life are being exhausted right now. I mean, he's great. I love it. Being a dad is the best thing I feel like you always have to preface it.
Best thing ever.
But like, the poor guy, like he can't play with any other kids right now. Like my wife's sister has 2 young kids, one a little older than him, one a little younger than him. And they've been super cautious, so we feel okay with letting the kids hang out, and the adults wear masks when they do. So they get to play a couple times a week, and that like lets him like burn off energy. But every other day, his playmate is Dada, you know? And it's like I come home from work and it's like, man, playtime's on. You know, and my wife's entertaining him all day while I'm at work. And so we're just kind of, you know, by the time he goes to bed at like 9 o'clock, we're just like sitting there looking at each other like,
I'm smiling.
One stupid show and then go right to bed.
I'm just smiling because I'm not alone, and I feel I'm glad you're saying it, and I'm not. I mean, it's the best thing ever. I'm having a blast. My backyard's like a water park right now. I'm trying to do everything. I've got nothing but like 16 baby pools and sprinklers and water tables.
So we don't have a backyard, so that makes things even.
Wow,
we don't have a yard at all. So
you're locked. You're locked and loaded. My yard is It's ideal right now. It's keeping it together right now.
Oh God, I'm jealous.
But anyway. So your guys, what are your hours now? So you're what time do you open, and then you're closing at 2?
Yeah, 7 a.m. Monday through Friday, and 8 a.m. on Saturday. And we're closed Sunday because I need a day off.
Everybody does, but a question for you is so are you kind of almost finding some kind of enjoyment in this new business model? I mean, are your numbers even remotely close to what they once were? Are you taking is it like a 50% hit? You don't have to give me exact numbers, but like
no, that's okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I always tell people this when they ask me this question. It's like I always preface it again, like everything sucks. This is terrible. On a personal level, it's been stressful. You know, thinking about my wife and her condition, and she's a teacher, so they're expecting her to go back to teaching in person next week. That's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole other episode. We're gonna have to have you back for like a week at this point. But yeah,
she had an uncle who unfortunately passed away of this.
I'm so sorry.
Great guy. This was very early on. So, you know, on the personal level, all this sucks. But on a business level, it hasn't been bad. Okay. Because, I mean, coffee is one of those things that's like, it's totally able to be done to go. Coffee, pizza, things like that, you know, we're fine. You know, we're not great. You know, we're still down at least 25% at Lawrenceville and probably 50% at our other locations. So that's not good. But our days are a lot easier. You know, my product cost is up because everything's in a disposable cup, but whatever.
Do you miss people that would come in and grab a $3 cup of coffee and stay for 8 hours? and have meetings and conferences and everything in your coffee shop.
I think you don't have to answer that. You already know the answer to that question. You don't have to answer. I mean, but you know, we form a really strong bond with our customers, and our regulars are still in. We still see them. Awesome. Even the regulars that would come just to hang out, they still come by to get a cup of coffee to go, and I love it. But definitely the whole like seating thing not being here is made it a lot easier. Like the no Wi-Fi. And one of the things you don't think about this, but like someone comes into your shop, it's not just about the monetary transaction. Mm-hmm. Even if they were to come up every hour and spend $10, great. But like, you're almost like sitting them for their entire experience, their entire time there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And in most cases it's great because most people that come in are awesome, but like, you know, like, so like if someone's in your store in your presence for 6 hours, you know, or sometimes more, sometimes people come in when I start my shift and I'd leave and they'd still be there. And then I'd come back to pop in later and they'd still be there. And it's like, cool. Hey, you're still here, you know, and they're talking to everybody that works there. And so it's like, you're almost like, you constantly have to like do a performative thing for them. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, I know. Pete Spinda is very uncomfortable right now because he's saying that's him. He's that guy. That's what he said.
Not in my shopping otherwise.
It says so on the screen. All right, but anyway, Pete said I had to read the paper, work a full shift at work, and suck up as much free Wi-Fi as you could. All right. Well, anyway,
Pete, I never made you drink the wasn't to go.
Looking guilty, Pete Spinda. Well, anyway, Matt, thank you so much. If anybody wants to find out, best way to find you guys, like online. I mean, your hours are your hours. I mean, you go get some coffee, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that'd
Basically
be it.
it.
Both locations.
Yeah, basically it. EspressoMano.com. Social media wise, we're most active on Instagram. It's just at Espresso Mano. Facebook and Twitter, I'm hardly ever on there. So.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming
Thank you very
on,
much.
and maybe stick around if we got time at the end. You pop back in, but if you got things to do, I understand.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so
Absolutely.
much,
Thanks,
Matt Gebis, everybody from Espresso Mano. All right. So to keep things rolling, I think it might be time for one of my favorite segments on the show. She's been waiting patiently for almost an hour. I think it's time we bring out my favorite segment, What Kate Ate, with Kate Romane. We'll have music for you next week.
Thanks, Pat.
Just saying. Just saying. It's
Dude, I love Matt Gebis. I love
Gebis.
man.
Gebis is the best.
He's the best. I worked with him 100 years ago.
100 years ago.
100 years ago, like when I worked with you.
Which was that was only like 98 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you go back further with Matt than you do with me?
No, I think it was like the same time. No, it was after. It was after I worked with you.
Could be the same time.
I worked at La Prima. I took a break from cooking and I roasted coffee for La Prima for like 2 years.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Pete was wondering who you like more, Matt Gebis or Pete Spinda.
Come on, Pete. Come on.
I put in Pete's name instead of my name, but I'm sure he meant mine. All right. So how's your week been?
It's been fat, man. I've been eating a lot of food.
Fat. Oh, I thought you were going like PHAT. I thought we were throwing slang.
Oh no, I'm not that cool. I don't.
I was like, what happened to Kate? All right. So, all right.
No,
you were eating. I feel like we're causing you to go out now a lot more than you were before. But that could be a good thing. Talk to me.
Because I was really, I was somebody who used to go out to eat all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've needed this to kind of help me jumpstart to figure out where I should be eating and how I can support people or whatever. Kevin Bacon. Lexi. All right. So anyway,
Lexi's always got the one. Oh, Alibaba. All right.
Yeah, which is one of the first restaurants I ever went to in Pittsburgh.
Wait. Okay. So you got takeout from Alibaba, or you went into
Alibaba? Takeout from Alibaba. Okay. It was great. Picked it up and I ate it so fast I didn't get a picture. I'm sorry, but
that's
I got
okay.
I got hummus. I got the lamb grape leaves.
Grape leaves.
So good.
You got the rock block there. Did you get the kibbe?
I didn't get the kibbe this time.
Okay, so here's the deal. The kibbe there, I get it every time I go there. I love kibbe. I miss kibbe. I long for kibbe. That wasn't the kibbe that my family made, but it's I still would always order it just because I think I like saying kibbe. What's that?
You're not Italian.
I am Italian. I'm 25%. I'm 25% Italian. I'm 50% Irish. I'm 25% Syrian.
Syrian, that's right.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's very cool. I like that you got that Irish in there.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the predominant gene. Not that people in Pittsburgh realize it. People are like, "Oh, you're so Italian," and I'm like, "Actually, I get real sunburned." That's all I got. All right. Anyway, top of the morning to you, Kate. Tell me more. Tell me more about Alibaba.
It was delicious. It was
great.
It was great.
The sleek is killer.
The sleek is so good, and those their lamb grape leaves are the best.
Yeah, they're very good.
Yeah,
they can do no wrong there. As far as I ate there all through college, and then I never stopped. But yeah, good stuff.
I took a break, but I've been going back. And I did get some baklava at the end. Woo!
We had a baklava tasting on the show last night. The company called Baklava with a U. I would highly recommend you buy yourself a box of it. But watch yesterday's show. You can get the information. I want to hear where else you ate. I don't want to tell you where I ate.
Okay, so the other place that I ate was, and then I want to talk about what I'm excited to eat this week because it's really like I got some things lined up. I'm super jazzed about, but I got Showcase barbecue It's awesome. They have a really safe setup over there. Plexiglass, a queue to come in. It was awesome.
Did you get pictures?
I did get a picture.
Okay, good, because if this, it's like literally around the corner from my house, and I would have run out and taken a picture and come back right now if it was daylight. All right, so let's see that picture. Did you send the picture to Dave by chance?
I did send the pictures over.
All right.
There it is. So those greens were bomb. I got the yams. I got mac and cheese. I got baked beans and a big slab of fucking ribs. Oops.
That's okay.
And sweet potato pie and the pound cake. I haven't finished all of this, and
You have been eating. Okay. Question for you. Oh, you had cornbread too. Oh, I see that. There's a sweet potato pie. Okay, so I like leaned in, like I was like look. I don't know why I did that. So did you call ahead, or do you just go there and get it?
Just go there and get it. There's
correct.
A queue. I went like after work and just picked it up.
Alibaba, did you call it in? These are just questions. These are questions for people. Okay, so you went to Showcase. All right, so those are your two spots. Did you go to a third, or was it just those two?
I didn't. That was it. I ate some tomatoes, which made me excited.
So where did you get these tomatoes?
Churchview Farm.
You had exciting tomatoes. Do we have a picture of the tomatoes?
Yeah, it was a really good one. I mean,
wow. Before you keep talking about, I mean, picks or it didn't happen.
You're gonna have to issue an appropriateness warning for this tomato.
Oh, I forgot to say that there are graphic images during earlier interview. Oh my God! Wow!
I ate that tomato.
In what order? Where was the first bite? I mean, that's always a question when you eat a tomato. I mean, did you?
I'm a 12-year-old boy. I'm sorry. It's just I like that tomato. It's a really good one. That
is a fine tomato, and you're wearing a glove too, which is always good, because if you're gonna eat a tomato, you wear the glove. Okay, that is a fine looking tomato. We should put like a censored logo over the part. I've never seen a tomato like that.
Right? So it is tomato season, and we're still getting a bunch of tomatoes from the farms. And if you haven't gotten to eat any tomatoes yet this season, you should go to the farmer's market.
All right. So everybody who's listening to the podcast version of the show, the audio only, the tomato has it's too cylindrical. How would you describe this? It looks like a what? Don't act like you're frozen. Don't act like you're frozen. I wanted to put this on you. Matt Gebis is here to pick up, to clean up the act here. Go ahead. All right. It looks like, what would you say this tomato reminds you of, Matt?
You're gonna make me say this, huh?
For our audio only listeners.
Two like bulbous,
bulbous,
like juicy.
Juicy.
It looks like a butt. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you, Matt. Matt hit it and quit it. Okay. So moving on from that. Kate, two questions for you. Okay. One question. What were you just drinking?
I'm drinking what I call, the Diane Keaton red wine on ice.
Red wine on the rocks. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That is good. That is good. All right. I like that. Now, what's going on? What's popping off at Black Radish Kitchen this week?
We're doing belly baskets still. We have a few left for September, beginning of September, which Belly Basket is a collab with Churchview Farm, Tiny Seed, Casey Renee, Wild Rice Bakery, and Who Cooks For You Farm. And basically we work with them. We cook. They give us a bunch of stuff. We cook it down and we deliver it to your door.
It's the best.
And
I've been in on this. I've partaken. It's fantastic. I would highly recommend everyone get this. It's so much easier for you.
Awesome. And we're also doing a Friday night dinners that are farm to family. Mm-hmm. And we just sold out of the one this week, or for next week, but we're going to do, the next one we're going to branch out and do Mexican lasagna.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
Yes, my Midwest roots.
I like it.
Anyway.
I like it.
Yeah, and we're planning on doing a lobster roll kit for Labor Day, so keep your eyes peeled for an email.
That's a lot of lobster. All
yeah.
Right. Somebody just had Tara just had Labatt's grape leaves, etc.
Yeah.
Very good. But Alibaba's sleek was the bomb. It is good. So
It
there
is
you go.
the bomb.
Tara's going back. That's already working. One thing that we didn't mention, and I don't know if it came up here, Alexi Morrissey had a good description of the tomato.
Oh.
2 boxing gloves.
Oh, you're right. That's what that was it.
Alexi out of the box. He's not thinking. His mind's not in the gutter. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Never. His mind is pure.
His mind never stops. But
Yeah.
that said, this show's gonna have to.
Okay.
So no, we can keep chatting. Matt Gebis, are you still with us? Let's just hang.
Absolutely.
Pete, if you want to jump in. Dave, if you want to jump in. I got a serious question for everybody. Okay, Pittsburgh Diesel Institute commercial versus the Eaton Park Christmas tree commercial. First off, have you heard of? Do you remember the Pittsburgh Diesel Institute commercial?
No.
Kate, was that before your time?
Yeah. I wasn't
Matt,
watching TV.
Matt, are you from Pittsburgh?
I have a vague memory of it, but I mean, no commercials etched in your mind like the Eden Park Christmas tree. That's just unbeatable. You know what I mean? But the diesel one's probably more yinzerific.
I'm going diesel just because of your performance, Pat. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, Pete, so how's the votes looking on that?
Well, I feel like we should call in the admiral.
Wait, are you the commandant? Do you think is he gonna have his hat? Are we gonna carry this into the overnight poll again? Because I think it's that close. We're gonna have to carry this to the overnight poll.
Like, I'm out of here.
He's looking for his hat. He's looking for his hat.
He just left. He's like, screw you guys.
Okay, so the commandant Dave, or the admiral, he changes his title every time. Anytime anything changes with the Jagoff poll, he goes back.
You think after 76 episodes,
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the ruling of the commandant of the Jagoff that tonight's in-show Jag will continue over the evening and through the woods to grandmother's house we go!
That's amazing. I tell you what, he's been coming up. He's got the best intros tonight. He's on fire. He's in a whole different level. And but the one dying, burning question that I have, okay, and you guys might have it too. What was he doing with that hat that he left the hat from the room? He was like wearing that hat around last night. Like he took the hat off after he was just wearing the hat, like to go about his business, to go about his day.
he wears it with pride around the house. You know?
Amazing hat. How can you not?
Jennifer wants to know if anyone has the Eaton Park flip book. Oh, of the tree. Oh, I remember that, Jennifer.
Wow.
There was the flip book that you would see it, and the tree would bend over and pick up the star would try to come up and start to come up, and then come and pick up the star, and then it would be at the end. That's a hell of an item, Jennifer. Do you have that? Also,
You could bring her on. She could show it to us.
we should show it to her, and we could actually. You know what we need to do, Tom? We need to get Tom moving on this. Tom, one of his buddies, was in the Pittsburgh Diesel Institute commercial, and Jennifer has the flip book.
Oh my God.
We got to give Jennifer the link. We got to get Jennifer on here. Jennifer, do you have it handy, or do you have it like somewhere else that will bring you back on maybe tomorrow? Seriously, why don't you?
She has to sing it in an operatic voice.
That's fine. We'd love to have Jennifer on. That's opera on tap, right? Let's. Oh, you don't have it anymore. Or you don't sing anymore, Jennifer? Which is it?
Just say
you don't
you
have
have it, so we'll
she doesn't
invite
have
you
the
on the
flip
show.
book. Well, I'll tell you what. You should come on as a guest anyway next week, and you can talk about draw yourself a flip book. Just go page by page. It'll only take you 4 days. Non-stop work. You know what? Go to Espresso Mano. Just get a cup of coffee. Sit there for 12 hours, and 12 hours a day for 4 days, and just sketch yourself a flip book. 1 cup of coffee per day, in a styrofoam cup. It's good. Paper. I'm
I
sure.
wonder how many businesses now are struggling because they don't get to suck up your Wi-Fi, Matt. Like, people
I
have to
know,
get their
right?
own Wi-Fi.
They ought to buy their own Wi-Fi.
What's that, Pete?
Gee.
I said, I wonder how many people now have to buy their own Wi-Fi because, like, you're not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Comcast should probably give me a cut.
Well, that's one way of looking
Kate.
at it.
Did you try the turkey ribs at Showcase?
Not
Yes.
this time. Not this time. They were out. Actually, they were sold out. What was going on there, Dave?
Yeah.
It looks like he felt like he was on a ship. I mean, doesn't it look like he was like he's like sailing? He's doubling up the cameras.
Holy shit!
That's all we get.
God.
Look, Tom just chimed in with some Pittsburgh Diesel Institute stuff. Look, Tom, anyone that was in any Pittsburgh Diesel Institute commercial is fine with me. It doesn't have to be the one that I just acted out for you, because there might have been more than one. It was either the Pittsburgh Diesel Institute or the Joel Hyatt commercials, which only like my family would remember because I used to mimic them when I was 2 years old. I used to act out the Joel Hyatt commercials when I was a kid. Anyway, so that was great. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And hopefully Maranie Rae is staying safe right now. She's probably on the streets in Portland right now shooting and, doing the work. So if there's anything else, we can all wave and say goodbye. Pete, do you have anything to add? Black Lives Matter. I'll take that.
Actually at Espresso Mano.
Oh, very nice. That's good. Well, you know what? That just made me think of something. We were talking about heritage, and I'm Irish. Kate, are you Irish at all? Okay.
You know I am.
Do you know who's Irish and is also into mask wearing? Liam Neeson.
Wear a mask.
Cuts the visibility.
I already know what you look like.
Why would anyone not want to wear a mask when Liam Neeson wants you to wear a mask? And, there was another movie that came out sometime in the 80s, right around the time the Pittsburgh Diesel Institute commercial was on, called The Princess Bride. And they foreshadowed this mask wearing.
Why are you wearing a mask? Were you going to acid or something like that?
Oh, no, it's just they're terribly comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future.
And let's not forget Batman himself. Screw it. Let's just send this out, and let's let my favorite person in Pittsburgh, one of them, to end the show for us, Sally Wiggin.
When I walk out and there's someone without a mask and they come too close to me, I'm just racked with fear, and then I want to punch them in the face.
Who's going to mess with Sally? Everybody, we've got a great show lined up for you tomorrow night. The folks from Table Magazine are going to be here. Dave Bracey is going to be here.
Alan Lewandowski!
Dave jumped on it before I could, but he will be here tomorrow. We've got a musical guest again for the first time in over a week or two. And let's not forget 5 Minutes with Natalie Bensavenga, who she's going to have. It'll be a surprise tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow, 8 o'clock. I want to thank Kate Romane, Matt Gebis, and Maranie Rae. Pete, Dave, and everybody else, vote at togetherpgh.com. Christmas Tree versus Pittsburgh Diesel Institute. We will see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock-ish.
Thanks, guys.
Wear a mask.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care of each other.
Thank you.